Good morning.
Good morning.
Ronnie and I are very sleepy today.
Yep, here we are.
Here we are. Welcome. I hope everyone has their caffeine if they have it.
Or whatever you use to wake up. It's like super gray out by me today, so it's like there's no sun shining in, which usually helps me feel like bright and squirrely.
hmm
I'm not feeling that way
Yeah.
today.
I saw you just turned your sun lamp on, right?
Yeah. Even just having it like adjacent and in the room, like I feel like that's just nice.
Hmm.
We were gonna start today with like a little check-in moment. Um, that's called Rose, Bud, and Thorn. So we're just gonna kind of go through that together. It's just three questions that you can kind of do, I think, in lots of settings, but I just thought this would be a fun little something to start with. So a rose is what went well, a thorn is what didn't go well, and a bud is what could bloom. What went well this week? Is there something that you're grateful for or like something positive that's happened?
I have two roses, if that's allowed.
Sure. I mean,
Um,
I
yeah, my brother and his girlfriend are engaged. So it's super
fiancés.
fun. Yeah, I know. So it's really
Very
exciting. It's definitely
exciting.
a rose. And then
Yeah,
one of my childhood friends had a baby. A healthy,
lots
healthy
of good.
baby.
Yay.
Yeah.
So many positive changes happening in
Mhm.
your crew right now.
Yeah, the crew is crewing.
Yeah. We have a new member, like a
Yeah.
freshly, made person. Okay, love the roses. That's
Yeah, good roses. Do
great.
you
Yeah.
do you have any roses?
Give me a second, because the later half of this week was fucking treacherous. So
Yeah.
let me just mentally try and find a rose. Sunday I got to take a class with my partner. We take like a yoga class together every now and again. There's a studio I was introduced to by a friend that I just really, really love, and I feel so grateful to like be part of that community or like making my way into it, as well as just like having the space to both learn and explore. Um, like the teacher's amazing. Like they're really great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my rose. I am hoping to take a class tomorrow. It's like a Sunday class that I go to. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
there's
partner
that.
time, community time. That's nice.
Crazy, crazy.
A twofer.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna move into Thorn next because it would be
Okay.
nice to end on like a nice bud, a little bud
Okay.
moment. So Thorn is what didn't go well. So this is something that's challenging, stressful, or like something that maybe you need more support with.
I would say balancing all the different activities I have for work. That's been tough. It's definitely been literal thorns in my side,
Yeah.
but you know what? It leads me into my bud, my what could be
Mm,
blooming. That everything is in process, everything is coming together, and I'm not giving up on myself.
mm. My Thorn, what didn't go well? What did not go well? You know? So what didn't go my Thorn this week, I would say I also had some, like, work struggles. It can be difficult working within the systems that we do sometimes, and I was feeling that this week. I was feeling that pressure a little bit. So, I think I'm fortunate that, like, I have really good supports around me. I definitely have been leaning on them, talking to, like, my supervisors, like, really just, like, plugging in to my resources and not feeling like I have to do it by myself. So, like, yeah, that's what's been stressful. And
Okay.
then bud, what could bloom? I feel like I have been feeling inspired by my physical yoga practice. Like this week, I've been working on it for like a couple months now, but like working on handstands. And like, I think sometimes there's like a lot of pressure for us to like be on a timeline that's expedited or fast or like really getting to this like goal. And like you'll see that especially I think in the yoga space because a lot of the westernizing that's happening to the practices and just like people can do amazing things like physically and there's a lot of pressure to like get there sometimes, I think. And I just feel like so grateful to be able to like use this practice to enjoy being at my own pace, enjoy learning things at the pace which I learn them. And like, I just think there's something so powerful about being able to subscribe to yourself. There's just something really, really inspiring about that and motivating. I think it ties into like the spiritual part of the yoga practices as well, because like part of that is to do that internal processing and to be with yourself. And it's really transformative. But I also think that this intro really is a really great segue. So I'm going to ask the last question here, which is how can you turn the thorn into a bud? And I
Mhm.
think we both kind of talked about that. And it sounds like resources, and like resources aren't always just like these literal paper things or these like books or whatnot, like people, humans,
Yeah,
relationships, community.
absolutely, and I'm just realizing this now. I'm really excited to learn from Ronnie because I am not connected immediately to my community
Yeah.
when I need support. I often look inward, and something I admire in Ronnie is their ability to just immediately say, "Okay, where's my community at? Where can I go? Who can provide me with support?" But then also the beautiful relationship you have with yourself and the spiritual connection that you were just getting into as well to help you reconnect with yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I don't wanna put up this guise of, like, I am immediately being like, "Who can I turn to?" Because, like, quite honestly, like, I don't there's times where I'm like, I don't have anyone to turn to. I feel really alone, like, there's these narratives of, like, feeling like I don't have anyone, um, which isn't true. I grew up in an environment where I didn't have a lot of external supports, but that doesn't mean that that's still true, and that took work. Like, it's
Mhm.
like I moved to the area that I live in 2021, so it's been, like, 3 years of putting myself out there, and we're gonna talk about this later in the episode, but I just wanted to, like, preface with, like, a I am not I have not honed all of the things perfectly or, like but I do work on them, like, I'm willing to continue trying and failing and trying and failing and yeah, figuring it out. But with that being said, I feel like we should probably introduce the topic for today's discussion.
Yeah. So, well, first, hi, I'm Jen.
And this is Ronnie. Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about part two, Field Guide to Attachments, Relationships, and Community.
This is episode 3 for anyone who's curious. So let's get into it.
I think what we had just been getting into where we're like, "Hold on, wait a second, we'll get back into this some more," is, like, how I was admiring you for thriving in your
Mhm.
environment with your
Yeah.
relationships in your community. So, like, how the
Mm.
heck did you do that? How'd you get there?
Yeah. Honestly, I would love to talk about it because I feel like that's something I don't even need notes for. Um, so, like I said, I moved to the area I'm in 2021, but I moved away from like my regular home, if you will, like my origin home, in 2019. So that's like when I first came down towards southern Pennsylvania. And like when you're in grad school, which I was, I think there's more immediacy to make friends, even if you're in a small cohort. You have people you talk to, they're in it with you, they understand. But when I like there was a certain point when I moved again to live with my partner in Philly that I felt really lonely. I was like, I just felt disconnected. I felt like I didn't have friends. I felt like I didn't like go anywhere or do anything. I just like felt very much like a if I were to like be like, who can I talk to? I didn't feel like I really had many options immediate to me. So I kind of just like had made a goal with myself that I was like, I want to put myself out there. I want to like cultivate a community for myself.
Mhm.
Um and like with community and cultivating community or making friends, what they tell you is that you need to try and go to things regularly. So like you pick something and it's not don't do like a once off kind of thing because that's like you're meeting this person once, you're probably not going to be meeting them again if this isn't a recurring type of thing where you're both coming. it can be easy for those relationships to kind of fall away or become disconnected or whatever, which I'm sure we
Mhm.
all know. You make a friend at like a bar, you make a friend like through a Facebook group, and then you don't really talk that much and you kind of just like fall away. So I speaking of Facebook groups, I joined a Facebook group for like people who wanted to hike or wanted to meet other like people the same age as me. I actually met someone through like a grief group that I was on that lived really close. So she and I connected because we both had, lost our fathers to cancer within like a similar time frame, and they had recommended me to go to a yoga studio that they were going to. And up until this point, I actually never went to a yoga studio. My practice was solely at home. So it was my first time going to a studio. And then long story, short, I, started going regularly there. And that friend that I had met that introduced me, our friendship kind of fell away because we were at different points in life. And like when you only have something really, I think, traumatic in common, it can be comforting and also like if
Mhm.
that can't be the only thing that your relationship stands on, for my relationships. But I felt this, like, energetic pull to one of the yoga teachers that I was seeing at 6 a.m., my girl Katie, uh, and I was like, "Hey," like, I thought I like, "Do you have a dog? Like, I swear I saw you walking around my neighborhood," and they were like, "Oh my god, yeah, like, I live right in this area." And I was like, "Holy crap, like, we should go and walk our."
I'm already learning from you, just so you
Mm.
know,
Oh
because
gosh.
I no, this is great. When you said, like, the friendship fell away when there was a shared trauma,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, the friendships I had that fell away, most of them were shared trauma," and, like, you naturally, when you grow out of I guess you grow out of the heaviness of those moments or months, and if you're not in tune with one another anymore, it becomes really hard to like that back and forth. Like, do I support you? Do I grow? Do you come
Yeah.
with me? Do I have to leave you behind? Ooh, it's so heavy. There's so many people in my life that
Yeah.
I've experienced that with that you have to move forward. I also heard you talking about being courageous, even though you didn't say that. For me, it would take me a lot of courage to continuously put myself out there. I just don't have the follow through to
Yeah.
reach out to them again.
Yeah.
Also, final note,
Yeah. Yes.
it wasn't shared experiences that drew you to the friends you have now and the communities you're in. It really like, the what keeps you there is shared interests. So you each can
Yeah.
show up as your own selves without having to relate to one another outside of what you all like to do together.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other cool thing is, like, so I made a lot of friends through that specific hub of community, and, like, I would say that, like, 3 of my dearest, closest friends are from that community. It's interesting because like, we do all have that, like, yoga part in common, but I find that, like, we also have shared beliefs. Like the nice thing about going places where we are showing up as ourselves or we're like showing up like in a like trying to be our authentic selves. You're also meeting other people who are that way. Like I learned so much from my friends and healing from them like it's just a beautiful thing to heal within safe relationships. So all of that to say, it does take a certain amount of like courage and effort. I have a friend I met through internship, and while we were friends because of the fact that we were both in grad school and we went to the same internship, our friendship didn't stop just because the internship ended, because we
Mhm.
cultivated a closeness separate from that. So it wasn't just like, oh, this person's my friend because we just so happened to like be here at the same days. It's like, no, like I want to work with this person. I like working with them. Like I like how they show up. Like how they treat people. Um and like wanting to have people like that in your circle.
And, like, actually, like, breaking down what community means. It sounds like you connect to the meta community based on shared interest or yeah, based on shared interest. Um, but then there's also, like, the location, that's convenient if it's close
Yeah.
to you or they live close to you. And then also identity, like, shared identity is huge for
Yeah.
people to, like, see one another. Like, last time you said that, our relationships are like mirrors. So being able to, like, see parts of yourself and someone else is gonna draw you to them.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing about the mirroring component is that, like, it also mirrors back to us, like, our unhealed parts too. And
Mm.
I think people are mirrors into the sense that, like, all of our relationships reflect back to us a unique part of us that is unique to that relationship. So, like, I think part of what is really difficult when we lose people, like, whether it be to, energetically, we stop being friends, or like if it's something, that you value and you lose it, or if someone dies, you lose a mirror to yourself that that person uniquely held. Like their perspective, their understanding of you, the way they see you is different
Mm.
than you know what I mean? Like, just think about your friends, like, or your family. Like, you have different relations to each of them while the love is still potent. It's like that shows up differently. They pull out
Yeah.
a different part of you. And I think that that's a really important key because it's like, what do I notice is being pulled from me when I'm in relationship with this person? Like, notice, like,
Mhm.
how do you feel when you're around them? Do we feel drained at the end of it? Do we feel like we're just like dragging ass through the conversation? Do we feel like invigorated? Do we feel comfy? Like, it's all contextual. So I think community is very interesting, and I would be curious to ask you, Jen, like, for you, like, what does community mean?
Coming from Jen the human rather than Jen the healer. As a member of a community, of a society, to me, it's just literally the gathering of individuals around me. It doesn't matter where we are, I feel like I'm in a community because,
Yeah.
like, maybe it's because I grew up in such a small town that, like, everyone was part of the community, so it wasn't like pick or choose. It doesn't mean I have to, like the people. They didn't have to like me, but they were in my community.
Mm,
Um, but I've been learning the shared interests is huge, and then, because I have friends from different parts of the world, different parts of the country, just from moving a lot, and grad school where other people from around the world came to where I was then living, but when everyone's together in the same room, I really feel that loving energy being pulled out of me, and, like what Ronnie was saying, it's almost overwhelming to have that mirror experience and, like, see the love you have for each friend, and then everyone's all together with you. It's like, "Oh my
mhm.
gosh," like, so warm and fuzzy.
Yes.
I think about community in a literal sense, but then I think about it in, like, the energetic sense of, like, I guess presence. If I'm
Yeah.
able to experience presence, I know I'm in true community.
Mm, mm.
Otherwise, my attachment style, it just says, "Nope, get out of here." It's
Yeah.
like the videos on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you do your doom scrolling. It's, like, your introverted self versus your extroverted self, and, like, the extroverted self made the plans and you show up as your introverted self. That's me, like, 99% of the time. People are like, "Why are you so quiet?" I'm like, "I'm just listening. I'm here. I'm engaging." But
Yeah.
then, like, there really is a difference when I'm with, like, all the people I'm most comfortable with. I'm, like, life of the
Yeah.
party. They call me a
Yeah.
firecracker among those parts.
Right? Like, I think there's something so magical about being able to just be who you are, like, be amongst like, so for me, like, I don't see community as being the place like, the people who just live near me and happen to be in the same, like, place like, community in the sense of, like, we all live here. I'm like, for
Mhm.
my community is very much like I cultivate that. Like, I find spaces within where I live to congregate within my community because I am not in community with everyone. Like, we are all humans. I believe that we all deserve many things, and not everyone does, not everyone shares the beliefs that I have, and I just am like, I don't know that we're in the same community. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we
Mhm.
wouldn't be cultivating community together. It's kind of like,
Ooh.
yeah, say what's coming up? What's coming up?
Community. It's like community is shared values, shared identity, safety.
Well, think about it. Like in small rural areas in the middle parts of the US, there are queer communities hidden in places where it's not safe to be queer individuals. These are subcultures that are not even like subcultures, they are straight up cultures that are created and
Mhm.
maintained within the context of those shared experiences. So it's like for me, when I meet other neurodiverse individuals, I'm able to unmask or be more myself because there's a shared understanding and there's like permission from both. You know what I mean? Like there's this open permission to be as full of you as you can be in those moments. So yeah, I just
Mhm.
think it's community is a very interesting word because I'm like a yes, like we want to cultivate community where we live. And also sometimes I think there is a necessity out of safety and other reasons why we would cultivate communities in other spaces like online or, you know, on chats for discords and stuff. Like people find
Yeah.
friends in so many ways and they cultivate communities in such unique ways. Like I just think community is bigger than just that.
Mhm. I was reading a study, this was a few years ago now, but, everyone was, like, really worried about, our young boys playing violent video games like Call of Duty and stuff. Our generation was the one that, like, had Call of Duty when they were the
Yeah,
youngsters,
literally. Yep.
but for the people who really got into these games, it was like the concern was, okay, they're gonna become violent. Like, we need to restrict their access to guns in real life because 'cause they're gonna pick up guns and hurt each other thinking that they're just toys. Um,
Yeah.
and over, like, the course of 10 years, they were able to see where these online gaming experiences got them, and they found that it actually built friendships for them, especially the individuals who were neurodivergent. They were able to so much easily this is horrible.
Easy, so much easier. So much more easily, so much more easily. Yeah, that sounds right.
Uh-huh, 4 degrees got us to that conclusion of how to say that sentence.
You're
Um,
welcome.
but yeah, thank you for coming to this lengthy TED Talk about how community can be formed from RPG games. Thank you.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. But the other question that I really like, and maybe we'll link this to y'all at the end, is how does having a community impact your personal power?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love the way that one is phrased because we're talking about community, but then it ends on us finding something out about ourselves inwardly. Like, um, I
Yeah.
realized that my communities are either very secure or I engage with them like with avoidance.
Mhm.
But that,
Yeah.
but I'm like choosing to have people in my life that I trust
Yeah.
consciously, but subconsciously there's avoidance coming up.
Yeah. We can move forward a little bit. Where would you like to go from here, Jen? Is there anything
Um,
that's feeling
yeah,
right?
after my brain broke, I remember why I was even talking about that study in the first place. It's the connection to the social media world as
Yes,
attachment. I
yeah.
think it's so important we talk about that because a lot of times now we just kind of skip over it, or we don't even think about attachments as social groups anymore. Just because, the Western world and individualization, it can take away from our lived experience. So, with social media, imagine yourself sitting in public transportation or at a restaurant and you look around. Lots of cell phones. And I know, like, we all say, like, "Oh, if we rewind 100 years, everyone had books or the newspaper." Like, yes, that's true. But the difference is that we're not engaging only with ourselves or something that's creative or educating us. We're talking to other people when we're with other people.
Yeah. So, like, partner's pulling out phone, you think they're not interested or they're not invested in this relationship. You then start to
Mhm.
feel sad and disconnected. You think they don't think I'm good enough. And then
So I
behavior
get sassy and actually put up a wall.
yeah, so the behavior that Jen is then exhibiting is I'm gonna avoid you so that I don't feel those feelings even though you're still feeling them.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Like,
They
they're
were very
there.
much there. Mhm.
Yeah. Mm,
I'm sure a lot of people feel like their partner's avoiding them or doesn't wanna connect with them, or their
mhm.
friend when they pull their phones out. But really, there's a whole world inside their phone that they're connecting with. And he has, like, 15 people that he talks to on a daily basis. He's in, like, 3 different group chats.
Wow.
And it's incredible because without phones, without social media, he wouldn't be able to maintain these friendships, and they're amazing friends. It's even with family members, they have, like, a big group chat, and he's able to
Yeah.
stay connected to college, old work friends, and cousins every single day because of his phone.
And I would say it's not even just because of his phone, I think it's also the fact that he's continuing to show up in those
Mm.
relationships and, like, interacting with those people when they're reaching out, and it's reciprocal. Like, if there wasn't reciprocity in that, maybe it wouldn't be happening as much. I think
It's
there's
the
intention there.
reciprocity and the consistency.
And intention, like, you want to be in
Mhm.
connection with these people, like, they're people that you want to know what's happening or just, like, laugh with them or whatever, like.
Yeah, that's the issue that I have with maintaining the connections because I wanna connect, I wanna be there.
Mhm.
However, I just feel an immense amount of pressure when it comes to maintaining communication. Like, I'm like, "Okay, let's make plans." Like, "I'll come see you," rather than, "I'm gonna text you for an hour once a week." I don't know where that comes from. I mean, I do, but actually I don't. It's avoidance. It's the fear of judgment, and the reason why I think it's really really relevant to share this is because, I still put myself out there. I still go to things. I gotta hype
Mm,
myself up for it. But this is, like, a huge barrier, I think, when it comes to creating community,
yeah,
especially with we've now established from the last 2 episodes, I went from anxious to anxious avoidant to now avoidant secure. That's where I'm at. And I think I'm healing that last little bit of avoidance that I have.
yeah,
The big thing I'm doing for myself is I set the goal of consistency.
yeah.
Is there anything else that people can be doing that we can be doing to push through these final bits of our anxiety or our avoidance, which are this is really cool. We did some more research. We learned that it's on a continuum, our anxiety and our avoidance, and that's what determines our attachments. So fear can either make us want to be on high alert, or it can make us want to retreat and avoid the situation. A lot of
Yeah,
times we don't have a choice, like, we're forced to go to work. We have to have a job in order to live, so we have that motivation to be there, but once we're there, we can feel very anxious or, we can feel that same level of anxiety, but it's a pressure to repress yourself.
yeah. And that's really great to mention because a lot of people, I think, experience that avoidant, like, whether it be used because, like, phones could also be used to avoid, they can be used to plug into something else, but, like, the feelings of discomfort are still there despite that avoidance. I think sometimes
Mhm.
people don't realize that, like, it's similar to, like, a balloon in a pool. You could push it down and keep it down for a while, like, when you're a kid, you sit on it, you're trying to keep this ball under the water, but at some point, the pressure pops and it's back
Mhm.
above the surface, stronger and more intense. So I think it's important to just remember that, like, when we're repressing or pushing these things down, they're still there. Our body's still experiencing
Yeah,
that feeling.
absolutely. Oh, what a
Yeah.
good example.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So what do we do? So for me, it's being consistent. Do you have
Mhm.
any other recommendations or things that you have tried in order to heal your personal attachments so that you can securely be present in your communities, in your social groups?
Yeah. Well, like, I have, enacted different things like journaling or, like, I think I try to, like, Jen, we were talking about before, like, when do I connect with myself versus my community or this or that? I don't think it has to be one or the other straight up, but, like, if I'm, like, in a space where I need to share with someone, I'm gonna try, like, journaling or, like, something of that nature probably first before immediately running to people outside of me.
Mm. Oh, this
Depending.
sounds like, resourcing
Yeah, yeah,
from
and, like,
episode 1.
hell yeah, it is. When there's a relationship trigger of some sort that activates these avoidance or anxious tendencies, we have stories that come up, and then we have feelings that come up. And if I can create space to go process what's coming up and be curious as if it's a present thing or a past thing, which we talked about this before too. This it takes time to work up to this, but being able to figure out where it's coming from before attending to that relationship, like giving myself the
Mhm.
space to process those feelings without just reacting on them.
And I know this can sound super scary. It's, like, the whole
Yeah.
reason why a lot of people don't go to therapy or talk about what's going on with themselves and keep it to themselves because, like, you then have to face the scary stuff, the things that cause you emotional discomfort in order to
And
overcome
yeah.
them, is what we're saying.
Yes, this work is hard. Like, this is
Yeah.
hard work, and if it's not, I'd be
Well,
curious. I'd be
what I
curious.
say, it's harder to exist in a world where you feel like you don't belong than it
And I
is to push
also
yourself to learn who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Like to know yourself is so important and not to say and
Mhm.
like the hard work, getting back to that component. I don't just journal and then I like close it up and I'm like "Do-do-do-do-do-do," because that's not dealing with the thing. It's not processing it. It's just like putting it down. What am I doing next? Like sending that difficult text, communicating my feelings or what happened, letting myself be heard because my voice matters.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah,
So hard.
that's you're, like, putting yourself through exposure therapy.
Yes, literally, and
Mhm.
it sucks because like, we can't control what happens on the other end. We can't, but we can totally control how we communicate it, how we treat ourselves, how we treat the other person. All of those things can be thought about, and, like, the beautiful thing is, like, wherever you are, even if we're just at the cusp of awareness, we have to become aware of some of these things that we're uncomfortable with before we could begin meaning making or unpacking any of it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, if I don't know that I'm even feeling these things, because a lot of us, like, we spend so much time in this hell that it just feels like our normal.
Yeah.
Like, it is our normal. We're, like, lukewarm to it. We're like, "Ah, this is this."
We're just kinda, like, going through life. I'm like, "Oh, this is fine, I'm fine with this," or, "Oh, that was uncomfortable, whatever, I just won't go back there again."
Yeah, avoiding or avoid
Uh,
it. Like, "That
uh-huh.
sucked. I don't wanna do that again. I'm not gonna date
Mhm.
anyone. I'm not gonna have another best friend. I'm not gonna do this, that, or the other." Like
I'm not gonna go back to that bar, even though I love whiskey and it's an amazing whiskey bar. I'm never gonna go back there because I think the bartender looked at me funny. They judged what I ordered. I don't
Mm.
wanna see them again.
Yeah, girl, believe me, I get it. I
Mhm.
get it. I think
Yeah.
it would be interesting to maybe start talking a little bit about Adlerian stuff.
Yes. So this is, like, the whole thing, right? Why do we give a crap? Why are
Yeah,
we
what
pushing ourselves
why
to be in these situations? Why do we have to be around other people? It's Gemeinschaftsgefühl, baby. It's the inherent
Mm,
need to belong.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Mm-mm-mm. Say more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
who's this from? I said
oh, yeah.
Adlerian, but
Yeah, Alfred Adler, the guy, the dude, the
mm.
grandfather, um
The
Yeah.
granddaddy.
Who's Freud? Don't know him, never met him. But really, so his whole thing was, like, altruism, and in order to be the highest functioning and what he means by this is not like, "Oh, I'm a high functioning person," it's the literal sense of, "I am able to achieve everything that I see for myself. I am able
Mm.
to engage with my life at the highest capacity possible." So from his research and his philosophy on psychology, you need to be altruistic and connect with other people in order to reach your highest level of potential as a person. So
Mm.
we are just in and we there's also this huge thing I'm super excited to talk about, inferiority feelings and superiority complexes. So there's always
Mm.
this push-pull that we are experiencing as people. We either feel inferior and we are questioning ourselves in the space, or we're questioning the people around us, trying to figure out how to, like, make ourselves feel more valuable or we leave. Or we're just like, "I'm the shit. This is where I belong."
Mm. Mm. How do you know when those are, like when that's happening for you? Like, what does it feel like when you're feeling like the shit? Like, how are you showing up in that space?
So this doesn't mean I'm, like, super full of myself. It means that I feel secure. It basically you walk in the room and everyone there, you're like, "Hi!" Right? And you want
Yeah.
everyone around you to feel like they're on top of the world.
Mm, mm. Okay, love that.
Yeah. And
Um,
I'm sure it can be pathological and you can be like, "I need to be the best one in this room." Like, if you're walking into a test that you know is weighted in college, like, you wanna walk in there and be like, "All of you are peasants. I am getting this 94, and all of you are going to fail, and I am gonna get the A." Because if you don't get the highest grade, that means that you're not gonna set the curve, which means you're not gonna actually get the 100. Nerd stuff, it's fine, whatever.
yeah, yeah. It's fine, guys.
Um,
It's fine.
or I guess, like, we can relate it to, like, hunting.
Mm.
You wanna be, like, the first one out there in the morning, you wanna go out there and stake out the best place to put your tree stand so that you know that you're gonna get the 10-pointer, get that buck, right?
Yeah,
That's, like,
absolutely.
these are healthy superiority feelings that we're talking about.
And, like, I like that it's not just, like, superiority in, like, the context that we might normally hear it. It's like, no, I'm making choices that are in alignment with my goals or the things that I
Mhm.
want, and
Makes
I'm
you walk with your head a little higher.
yeah, like, I'm doing the stuff. And I also really
Mhm.
liked the part before that you mentioned about the highest level of potential. This is what this, I think, episode is really about, is, like, how can we operate at our highest level of current potential within our relationships
Mhm.
and in our community? Like, how can we
Yeah.
work with what we've got, or how can we take these steps? So I really liked that verbiage a
Yeah,
lot.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess how we do that, you can look at your inferiority feelings, and remember, this is the hard stuff, but ask yourself, "Why am I feeling inferior here?" And what this will feel like, if you're unsure if this is what's happening for you, is when you walk in the room and you look at everybody and you try to stand how they're standing, or you notice their outfits are different than yours, like that comparison begins, and then you find yourself trying to adapt to the space you're in. None of that is about you connecting, it's about you wanting to be accepted.
Yeah, and, like, you're also pre-rejecting yourself when we're looking around the room and we're making those assessments, or, like, noticing that we're the wallflower, or, like, for me, what came up is my chameleon, which is, like, blending in or being small or quiet, or you know what I mean? Like, you're not your most vibrant self when you're feeling that inferiority.
No, you're not, and people are gonna notice that, and they're gonna look at you differently if it's a space that you're in frequently because they love you and they care about you.
Yeah.
They're not judging
So that's
you.
why it matters who are around too. Like, I feel fortunate that, like, I'm no longer in a space where the people that are around me for the like, within what I know, are
Mhm.
competing with me or are judging themselves or me in some kind of way when we're together. It's just, like, all love and just appreciation.
Yeah, and I think this is a good place. Ronnie and I wanted to talk about our friendship because we both
Yeah.
come from backgrounds of having difficulties finding friends and maintaining friendships. Um,
Yeah.
so we had that initial appreciation and curiosity for each other because we saw, like, as we've been talking about the mirror, we saw pieces
Yeah.
of each other in one another that we thought were like, they align. I thought Ronnie was
Yeah,
really cool.
definitely. Yeah, I saw Jen at, like, classes, but I also saw her, like, at the gym in passing, or, like, we definitely followed one
Mhm.
another on social media, and, like, this circles back to, like, my Katie story a little bit because at that moment, I felt the same energy and the same, like, pull to want to be friends with Jen, but I didn't act on it.
No,
I
we've had classes together. I don't know if it was freshman year. Transferred in with my first semester of credit, so I didn't have classes with people from our class until sophomore year for
got
our
you. And I,
yeah.
like, switched into psych, like, very early on, so, like, I came in wanting to do, like, sciences, but
I
I
didn't know that.
yeah, I applied to be a PA, and then I switched out of all the classes, like, the first day of class. I,
That's
like, went to a
bonkers.
chemistry class, and I was like, "I hate this," and then I switched out of it after the awkward fucking icebreaker. It's, like, the worst class to go to. Like, talk about community, like, room full of strangers, 18 years old, definitely not in my, like, most embodied self.
Mhm.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so, we didn't, like, know of each other initially, I guess,
Mhm.
is what we're trying to say here, but, like, once we
Yep.
were around one another, like, we went to a pretty small school, by the way, so,
Yeah,
like
it was like little high school, essentially.
yeah. So there were, like, 3 parties to go to. and we were, like, in each other's I'd say we were in each other's orbit, and,
Yeah.
we just, like, didn't engage. Also,
Yeah.
my life is pretty chaotic as well, and I knew that. Um, I really wasn't engaging with life as much as life was happening to me and around me, and I was
Mm.
just going with the flow, and I've been doing that for a while, and then I realized what I was doing, and I
Yeah.
took the reins. Um
Yeah. I would definitely agree. I was at a time in my life where it was definitely felt like I was just, like, funneled from one thing to the next, and I was kinda just, like, going where it took me, essentially.
Yeah,
Um,
and it puts you in settings that aren't of your choosing, um,
yeah.
and I found myself wondering, like, "Why don't I feel like I belong here?"
Yeah. Mm.
And it's because I felt like I didn't. I
Yeah.
thought everyone hated me, and maybe they did. Don't tell me if you did, I don't wanna know. But what I learned was I don't like where I am. I don't feel like
Yeah.
I'm connecting with who I'm
Yeah.
with. I think I need to disconnect and find somewhere else for me to belong.
Yeah. Mm.
And that's really hard to do. It doesn't as I'm talking about it, it sounds like a sad experience, but, and it was because I did genuinely love a lot of the times I spent with the people I was around. Because I'm like a generally happy person. I can get along with anybody, really, because I love people,
Mhm.
love talking to people. However, that doesn't
Yeah.
mean those people are good for you, so, like, you can get really close to someone, and then all of a sudden, shit hits the fan. It becomes very volatile, and then we're stuck in these relationships that feel super, super unsafe. So then when Ronnie and I ended up having more classes together and, like, it was just like we were it was like, we become friends now or we don't type of thing. Um, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna choose to I'm gonna choose to put more energy into this friendship because 'cause I'm at this point, I had disconnected from a lot of people, and I was just, like, doing my own thing,
Yeah.
and that was really scary to make the choice to want
Yeah.
someone to be my friend, and by the way, this was in the fall. Veronica and I did not become friends until like, actually friends until, like, literally the last week of classes, like, of our senior year.
Okay, I disagree. I disagree. I think Jen and I were friends by the end of the fall semester. We had taken a senior seminar class together, and I wouldn't say close
Okay, yeah.
friends, but we were to the point where we were starting to like plan to do homework together. And I think that's
This is true.
it's a transitioning point from like we are in research together or we are in a class together to like we are spending time and like yes, it's still work related, but I think our transition point started sooner than that. Like,
Oh,
it's
no,
like we were aware of.
I definitely think you're right. I was talking about, like, the actual moment where I decided I'm staying friends with you
Oh,
forever. Was
LOL, y'all. It wasn't known until that long.
and, well,
Wow.
that really shows the anxiety I had coming into forming a new friendship.
Yeah. Dude, for real, like, I think it's so funny, because Jen and I, we made plans for my birthday. We were going to, like, a baseball game in Philly. Like, it had to be right after graduation or like, it was in, like, that, like, transitional, like, we're done with classes, we're graduating soon, like, space, and it just
Mhm.
kind of happened. Um, and I would say that was definitely when it was more solidified because, like, honestly, I don't think we hung out as friends a lot still through the school year.
No, we didn't.
It
Well, I was
was
also working because I graduated, in December, and then I got a full-time
yeah.
job, so I really only saw people when I would, like, get home from the 9 to 5, and, like, if they were in my house, awesome, I'm gonna hang out with you,
Yeah.
and again, that's where, like, Ronnie was in my orbit.
Yeah, because I
Um
was, friends with, like, most of like, all of Jen's roommates. So, like, if I was hanging out with one of them and Jen happened to come home, there would just be, like, the, like, happy accident of spending time together.
Yeah, and then Ronnie pointed out as we were talking about, like, this conversation that we were going to have, like, it just felt comfortable. Like, I was
Yeah.
never like, "Oh, Veronica's in my house."
Yeah,
I was
no,
like,
it was never
Oh,
like
Ronnie's
that.
here, cool." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I found out that I was accepted into grad school, I wanted to go be with my sister and best friend, and they were down at a bar, Um, and I, like, ran down there, and Veronica was also with them, and I remember, like, this is the moment so talking about mirrors again, I, like, looked at the 3 of them, and I just felt so much love, like, the love I had for Ronnie was equal to the love I had for my friend Rachel and my sister
Mhm.
Jess, and I was just like, Ronnie's a homie."
Mm.
And then we made plans to hang out, and we literally have been in contact. I don't think we've gone a week without talking to each other since then, and that was
Yeah.
2019.
Mhm. And
However,
it's
there were yeah,
crazy. However, there was what?
trials and tribulations.
There totally were.
Yeah, there were,
Yeah,
only because, like, we had opposing attachment styles and attachment relationships from our past, from people that we trusted to get close to us, and it didn't work out, and we had to, like, work through that together to realize, "Oh, wait, this actually is a secure relationship." So it ended up being,
yeah,
like, a very safe place for each other to confront each other because we were
very
both like,
much so.
"Ooh, whoa, like, these emotions don't belong on me. I love you.
Yeah.
This sounds like there was a miscommunication," and we would, like, explain how we were seeing it, and we would be like, "Oh, this person loves me.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
not being mean to me. They're not" taking
Yeah.
advantage of the energy I give them, and it felt like a very safe place after, like, 2 or 3 times of that happening, but those 2 to 3 times,
Yeah.
they were I don't know about you, but it felt intense for me, and I was scared to lose, like, a friendship.
Oh my god, it was so intense. I remember, like, having to, like those are like, that was a period of time where I was definitely working on communicating, and it was so intense, like,
Mhm.
emotions-wise. Like, I felt like there was high stakes. 'Cause there were.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, "This is, like, my best friend," like
Mhm, and it was also during COVID, at a time where, like, it was so hard to be connected to anyone, and everything was
Yeah,
so high stakes in our lives, like, everything just had this added layer of collective trauma that the whole world was experiencing together.
absolutely. I will say that, I I don't even know, it's interesting to think about it. It's would we still be super close if that didn't happen? Because and I'm not saying that we wouldn't, but I think our proximity to each other was consistent throughout, grad school. Like, there would be calls made or
Mhm.
Zooms, or, we were doing a lot of things together, like, we were doing research together, but still spending time as friends. Like, there was
Yeah.
so I don't know if we had, I feel like we were both very intentional about trying to spend time with one another. Like, during COVID, once it was, maybe May of 2020, I think, around Jen's
We were able to,
birthday.
like once we were able to, like, test and then go be with people once we knew that, like 'cause remember,
Yeah.
Ryan and I were both in cities, it wasn't like we were in tiny towns that didn't get COVID, like, we were in large
Yeah.
cities.
Yep.
So anyway, when we were able to, like, test and know we didn't have COVID and then go see people is when we actually started hanging out again, and I think it became, like, a
Yeah.
monthly basis, right?
I don't even know. I just know that it was, there's multiple instances that I can remember, like, us at the cabin, or, you coming to visit me at, one of my old houses or my apartment. Like, there was a lot of different, going to your parents' house. Like, there was just a lot of
Mhm.
different things where we both, I think, just we took the initiative. It was reciprocal. It would be like, "Okay, Jen and I are both meeting at the cabin, like, we're both traveling to this spot to see one another," or, "I'm going to drive to Jen's parents' house," or Jen's driving to s it was a lot of.
Yeah.
And, we planned, a yearly vacation at one point. Like, we went 2 years in a row to the same event that we both really liked. So I think there was just, we're fortunate in that, we just have so many shared passions that,
Mhm.
it's a fortunate relationship in that I think we could pick up most times with something to talk about, or to, or even not talk about, just,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
I love that we're having this conversation because I don't think a lot of friends have these discussions, and I'm learning so much about each other, and it's also just, like, feeling the warm and fuzzies toward each other about it too.
Mhm.
But as you were talking about before, the importance of having shared interests, and we are talking about, like, shared experiences, like, shared past experiences, it's great you can relate to each other, but sometimes, like, paths lead you different directions. I think we were able to help each other heal from the shared experience of difficulty in social settings and friendships, and that's why
Absolutely.
our communication as friends is so strong because we had to talk about stuff so that, like, because 'cause I'm not an angry, volatile person, but I had so many arguments with people, right? So it was just, like, really difficult to have an actual friend who was just as gentle of a person, as I am with, like, some firecracker qualities. Um, so it just took time to, like, trust that I actually had found someone that was like me, which you have to, like, remember the hard work gets you to find your people, gets you to find your community. You
And,
gotta
like, not every like, I think there's an important aspect of, like, I think there's some relationships that, like, they're just gonna be different. Like, you can't have the same expectations for all of your people.
I'm so happy that you brought this up. Um, can do you have more you wanna say before I say what I was
No,
thinking?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so this is, like, something huge that I've been talking about recently with a lot of people. Um, it's okay if your friend isn't able to be a foodie with you. If they don't wanna
Mm,
go out to dinner with you, it doesn't mean that they don't like you, it means that they don't have a shared interest with you and you can find something else to do together.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
it's okay if you can't trust one of your friends to keep a private secret. Right? I mean, unless they're, like, airing your dirty laundry, they're being jerks about it, but, like, if they get so excited about your life that they need to tell other people, it's like, "Okay, I love you. I'm just not gonna go to this person with private news first." And that's okay. You learn these things about each other, and you choose to approach one another with love rather than the judgment and, like, being super critical of the person, and you
Yeah,
communicate that boundary with them.
yeah,
Like, "Listen,
and
I love
that's
you. I can't tell you this kinda stuff, though, if you're gonna tell people right away." And it's fine if, like, you're, like, a happy, excited pants person. I
yeah,
just know you might not hear things from me right away.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and it's okay, like and I think how people respond to boundaries tells you a lot about them as well, like
Mhm.
if someone responds poorly or disrespectfully or, adverse to that, the thing that people often do is like, "Oh my god, like, they're crossing my boundaries." We have to have natural consequences. We have to enforce the boundary. It's our job. It's my boundary. So, like, if
Yeah.
like Jen said, if this person tells people secrets and you don't want that, you have to enforce the boundary of, like, "I'm not sharing that information,
Mhm. Which can be
period."
tough. It's and that's the whole thing, right? People a lot of times I hear, "Oh, I don't wanna be mean to them, like, I don't wanna make them feel bad." And it's like, well, they're making you feel bad, and they don't even know they're doing it. You have to communicate
Yeah.
that to them, and then you also have to give them more than one chance. And again, this isn't like with what we're talking about minor things that aren't going to ruin your life or really hurt your
Yes.
feelings. We're talking about, like,
Yeah.
small infractions against each other that people just aren't aware of until you say it. Um,
Yes.
but
Yes.
you have to give people more than one chance. I say, like, well, I don't wanna put a number on it, how many chances you give, because it's so situational, it's different for every person, but, like, you're creating a new boundary of something that's been bothering you for a long time. It's taking you courage to be able to say, "Hey, knock it off. I don't like it." But this person has been doing this for just as long as it's been upsetting you. So it's gonna take them time to learn, and again, these are small things. It's gonna take them time to learn and adjust to what they need or what you need from them, what they need to
Mm.
be doing differently. And so as the friend, it's your job to ask, "Hey, I know that this might be considered a secret, like plans to go to the beach together. Um, is this person invited? Am I allowed to tell them about it? Is that okay with you?" Right?
Yeah.
Like, just and then it might be an over the top question, right? Your friend might come back and be like, "Duh, of course they're gonna come with us. Like, they go with us everywhere." Right? And they're like, "Okay, cool. I just wanted to check."
Yeah.
Um, just and so again, it's the openness to approaching it
Yeah.
with love, not taking it personally. So it requires everyone to put on their big person pants, their adult pants, and, be able to say, "This relationship has been secure thus far. I am choosing to trust that they have my back, that they're on my side. They're
Yeah.
not out to get me. I chose this person to be in my life." Like,
Yeah.
I chose them for a reason, I gotta trust myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is like secure. We're trying to securely attach to these people. And that's an important piece to remember is like if it's not a secure attachment and it's harmful, like Jen was saying, you are allowed to not be in relationship with people that harm you. You can create distance. Like it's okay to reduce the proximity if you have control over that to what you're doing
Mhm.
with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, if you're someone who, um like, alcohol impacts you in a negative way, either you're an alcoholic or you notice that you use it socially and you binge drink, and your friends only wanna hang out with you when you're drinking, that's a boundary that you have to set, and that sucks because a lot of times people will lose friends because people don't respect that boundary and you just retreat away from them.
Yeah.
So you're feeling rejected, the other people are feeling rejected, and no one really talks about it. So just, like, what would it be
Yeah.
like if you were to say, "I love you, I love spending time with you. Can we get, like, brunch instead? Can
Mm.
we like, what can we do to meet in the middle? I know you like to be out in public socializing with other people around for fun.
Yeah.
I wanna be able to be around you, just not with alcohol involved." Right?
Yeah.
And again, this is the being the brave part. You have to be brave so that you can see, like, what the friendship could be. Because again, you're choosing to approach it with love, and if you approach it with love, you're not being a bad person. You're not being a mean
Yeah.
person.
Mm-mm.
You're being
No, not at
secure.
all.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And it's okay. Like it's think about like you're working out. Like these are muscles that you've not like been working on for a really long time. So like these reps are going to be strenuous, but you're
Mhm.
going to get the gains. Like you're going to see the results of the work, but it's not going to be
Yeah.
immediate. It's never immediate.
No. So you do that personal work with yourself, and then as soon as you're ready to actually, like, communicate with someone, like, put that effort in to find evidence that it's a secure person to have in your life, usually right away, you're gonna get the benefit. You're gonna feel that love from the person. Just like that, almost, you're healed. Wait, I need a better snap. We got the snaps. Okay. But but yeah, it's really, like, it's so rewarding to be able to put yourself out there once you know what you need to do. So, like Ronnie was saying before, the journaling is super helpful in order to know, like, this is what my community looks like now, the communities I'm involved in. What are the common themes?
Yeah, what do I see? What's happening here?
Mhm. Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
been using myself as an example the whole time, so I'll just keep doing that. I'm comfortable with it. I noticed hesitance and fear that the people that I'm really trying to connect with aren't gonna wanna connect with me.
Yeah.
Now, I've said this several times, I don't have a big social circle. This is literally my family, friends I've had since middle school and high school, right? These are people who literally love me, and these are just my personal emotions of my own anxiety and my own personal fear of judgment that I am, because I'm aware of it now consciously. If I choose to not connect, I'm choosing to allow my anxiety to be in control rather than the anxiety being the little guy tapping me on the shoulder saying, "Hey, you sure you wanna do that?" It's like, I
Mm.
just flicked him off my shoulder and said, "Yeah. Yes, I definitely wanna text my friends, thank you."
Yeah, and, like, when I think of parts work, I'm like, we have that fear for a reason, like, it's
Mhm,
protective, like, Jen and I have both disclosed have had different types of relationships throughout our lives that weren't always secure, and the fear is there to protect us, so, like, if and when you get to a place that you can sit with it with love, I think that that's a really great thing to work toward, because it's like, "Oh, it's just trying to help me." It's, like, not
mhm.
it's so effective at keeping me from, like, getting hurt that I don't do anything. That's
Yeah.
not what I wanna do, like, let me be in the driver's seat, you control the radio. Please, no sad jams right now.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
right, like, let's pump it up and do
Pump
some
it
stuff.
up, pump the
Pump the
jams.
jams. We okay,
Hey, I think
um,
I've sung, in every single episode so far, so I'm not gonna stop.
LOL, you really have.
Oh, wait, actually, speaking of songs, there's one more thing that I wanted to share for people to think about
Perfect.
with
Yeah.
bringing it back to the self that we've been talking about and then really into our community. The Doors. People are strange. It says, "People
Mm,
are strange
mm,
when they're a stranger. People are ugly when we are alone." So,
mm.
Brownie, why do you think I'm bringing this up?
I don't know. Calling me
Because
out over here.
it's I keep referencing you with your mirrors, so I just wanted to see if you had
Mm,
a little thing you wanted to share, because that's really what it is, right? If I feel like a stranger somewhere, I'm gonna be
mm,
sussing everybody out, like, "Oh, I don't belong here." they don't belong here. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so the
I think
door's
it's
open for comparison, for judgment.
yeah, something in me feels like I don't belong.
Mhm. And I'm
Not
reflecting that on the people around me.
yeah, and again, mirrors. We're looking what we look for, we're gonna find.
Yeah. I
You
feel
know what I
weird
mean?
showing up here. I'm going to find strangeness and lack of belonging around me.
Right?
And then
It's
the last part
gross.
is, like, people look ugly when we're alone.
Mm.
I mean, dude might have literally meant ugly. But I to me, that means, like, people look scary, people look unkind.
Yeah, the world is so much scarier if we feel like we're alone.
Yeah.
Again, circling back to Adlerian concepts of, like, we have the innate drive to connect. We're
And
social beings.
when we're not taking that pause to be altruistic, to see the heart and the love and the strife other people are going through, that's when we're going to feel most disconnected.
Yeah. And what do we need to do? So, like, if we're thinking DBT, I'm feeling disconnected. My urge is to disconnect. It's to like pull away more, maybe. What's the opposite action that I can do if I'm feeling like I want to pull away? I'm going to
Yeah.
connect. I'm going to plug in.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was such
Yee.
a great conversation.
Yeah.
So, it's time for us to say farewell, my friends. It's been fun.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's again like we're just being able to connect with community, cultivating this inner and outer relationship. It takes time, um, and you'll find the balance. Mm.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in. Stay mindful, stay present, and keep exploring that extraordinary world within. And until then, we'll catch you on the trails.
Catch you on the trails.
Ka-chow.
Oh no.